The Cubs right now are 24-31, around there.
Something like that, yeah.
They'd have to win 60 games over the next, 100? 60 and 40? Around there, give or take. My math's probably not 100% accurate on that, but 60 games is right. You're going to have to win 60 games to win the division. You feel comfortable with this team to win 60 games over the course of the next couple of months? I don't. I mean, especially with this schedule coming up. I mean, this next trip could push them out to where we're not even thinking about that anymore.
I agree. I feel like these next 2 weeks, and I know we'll talk about it, like with our guy Tony that just brought it up. Like these next 2 weeks could be a major answer as far as who's going, who's staying. Maybe we call up some of the young guys and just say, screw it, this season's over. Let's see what the farm has to offer and what can we get out of some of these guys that we got that are doing pretty good. Who says these next 2 weeks doesn't give us that answer?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's too – I hate – it may be a little too early, but –
it's never too early anymore.
It's like, why not?
I don't think they're trading Marcus Stroman. Just to answer the question that's at the bottom here. I don't think so. Because I think that they're closer to competing than they are to rebuilding. Mm-hmm. And I think that the offseason, you add a few pieces and you're probably even closer, and this division's going to get even easier to win, in my opinion. I mean, I like the Reds team, but they're young, and they're still the Reds. And they'll always still be the Reds. Mm-hmm. And Milwaukee's probably going to have one of those big arms move sooner rather than later. And the Cardinals, I just don't trust that they can player develop anymore. I don't. It's been a while since, we've talked about guys who realistically from that franchise are able to still scout and to bring in. I mean, I feel like with Kantrovitz leaving that moment too, and then just kind of overshadowing with the Wilson Contreras, like it just shows me that their analytics department and their inside scouting is further away from the Cardinal way than ever, in my opinion. And after that, I mean, are the Pirates ever going to put it together? I mean, they're a team of the 2012, 2014 roster that looks good. I mean, you have an old Andrew McCutchen and that, but like the Central is wide open. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, with adding a big name free agent on this team, hopefully a top of the line pitcher and, another bat, the Cubs could, with a healthy crew, could be good again next year and address the bull. This frustrating thing is if they win just half of their one-run games, they're probably in second place in the Central right now. Yeah, that's what's so frustrating about it. They just keep losing and losing and losing type ball games. And I get the idea of trading Stroman for pieces, but you gotta, if you're gonna do that, you gotta have guys who are coming back who are ready to play in the big leagues. When they come, when you make that trade, they're not going to Iowa. They're coming right to Chicago to help you win right now, and they're on controllable long contracts. But I don't think the Cubs are in that spot where trading makes sense. And that's the odd thing. Unless they were able to have a workaround with Stroman, hey, we're going to trade you, at the deadline, but you opt out of your deal, and then I'm going to re-sign you for, 4 or 5 years with, this amount of money. Yeah, I'm okay with that. But the problem is that that's never guaranteed. And I think Stroman right now, with how much he talks about Wrigley, probably isn't open enough to want to be traded. He loves pitching here, loves being here. He wants to win here, opposed to, just giving up on the whole thing and going somewhere else. But I don't know.
Well, and on top of it, Juice, I know when Tony brings up, some takes, these are just slapdick fans probably that are out there saying, well, yeah, go get more pieces. Just keep getting more pieces. Until what? Until you're never competitive? Like you said, Juice, they're closer to winning now. They've done their sell. You don't go and get Dansby Swanson in this offseason and signed him to the big money that you signed him to then go turn around and trade your arguably best starting pitcher because, right? Because you're having a bad year or a bad start to the year. There also wouldn't be reports that they've approached Stroman already about an extension if they thought about trading him.
Well, yeah, that's
right?
the other thing too. Like the extensions for Happ and Nico don't make sense if you're trading those guys either.
Right. Because now is the beginning of the competitive window. And I think 2023 was always meant to be a weird, either they were going to overachieve or underachieve kind of year. But you can't just keep dealing pieces and expect it to just click. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You eventually have to just settle down and say, okay, we have some pieces here that we're going to try and go win with. And I think Marcus Stroman is one of those pieces. He's a pitcher that's going to age well because he does not pitch heat. He doesn't throw like Kyle Hendricks, but everything he throws is with movement. So that's going to age well. He's an incredible athlete. That alone is going to age well. And you can very easily, in my opinion, he's making 25 right now. You gave him maybe a $4 to $5 million bump per year for another 3 years. That's a very reasonable deal for a guy like Marcus Stroman. And quite frankly, like, you're not getting better if you trade him. He doesn't come back and then you go sign the starting pitcher in free agency.
No, you're taking away from what you need. And I think too, there's not a large enough sample size that the group doesn't work. For example, like there's teams that are out there right now that have had their competitive window open and realized it's not working with that group of players. I think the Cubs are in a really different spot because April showed it worked in some sense when they were all healthy. Sure. May did not. So you can't just go off of 2 months worth of the sample size and say, yeah, this is 100% what this team is. No, baseball is a lot longer than that. But I look at this Cubs team, I look at the roster, and the reason I picked that they had 78 wins, this was when we started this show this season. We had our season breakdown. I said 78 wins. They have a lot of good players. They don't have a lot of great players. Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking about the guy in the lineup that you worry about 3 hitters before, the pitcher that you worry about 3 days before. And that's what you need. You need 1 or 2 of those just base guys in that middle of that lineup that you have to game plan around and then surround them. Let's be honest, guys. Like without Cody Bellinger, and Seiya Suzuki was out, Dansby Swanson was the best guy in that lineup for a good amount of time. Dansby Swanson on the Braves was like their 5th best hitter when they won the World Series. So that's where this Cubs team is at. They need to get Dansby Swanson to be like their 4th best player in the lineup. And Seiya Suzuki is hitting, and he's becoming that, and I feel comfortable there. But there's still, like, when you don't have Bellinger and you don't have a middle-of-the-lineup guy that, like, you can count on to be, like, 100 RBIs, 30 home runs in that dab set. I love Ian Happ, but Ian Happ is not a 3-hole hitter. He's just not. He's that nice 5 hitter. And the Cubs that's why 78 wins and they're a year away. That's my 2 cents on it. I think that they could be real creative in the offseason. But if they blow this thing up over a case of like 1 month of bad baseball, I'll be a little upset with that.